Time now to take a quick look at the highlights of the 2019 ANA's World's Fair of Money World Coins Platinum Night auction as hosted by Heritage. A key part of the World Coins auction was the George Hunt's Cook collection of Canadian coins. Since I already made a dedicated video about that, I won't cover those coins in this particular presentation again. You can check out that video by clicking on the little eye in the top right hand side of your screen now. The sole exception will be to briefly feature the 1911 silver dollar, a coin which is so famous within the Canadian series that it needs little introduction, and yet so scarce that few people can ever hope to own one. Only 2 silver coins are known to exist, and one is in a permanent museum collection. So, in effect, this is the only example of this coin which is available to collect. Graded by PCGS as SP64, this legendary coin sold for $552,000. And then a stunningly rare 10 ducat coin struck, interestingly enough, from taller dies for the canton of Lucerne in Switzerland. Dated 1714, the coin depicts astounding strike quality, and upon somewhat closer examination it becomes obvious that great care was taken during the striking of this piece. Struck multiple times, possibly even as many as 8, to ensure that every detail in the design was fully struck up, with doubling that betrays this fact the most evident within the letters of Leo Degarius, the base of the effigy on the reverse, and the various dentils around the rim of the coin betray this fact most clearly. Likely a presentation piece struck for some specific purpose which has been lost to history at this point, and the only such coin in the population report of a major third-party grader. With a grade of NGC MS63, the coin raised $162,000 at the auction. Alright, now what we have here is something truly interesting. Anyone familiar with Australian coins will no doubt immediately recognize the Holey dollar coins, as they have become known over the years. These are considered as Australia's first official indigenous coins, and they have quite an interesting story to them. In fact, I've been wanting to make a video about that for some time, so let me know in the comment section if you'd be interested in watching something like that, or not. These were essentially made by punching a hole into a Spanish 8 reales coin and then overstamping the denomination of 5 shillings onto the larger circle and 15 pence into the smaller round. Fun fact, actually, the man appointed to make these coins was actually a convicted forger sent to Australia's prison colony as a part of his punishment. These are incredibly rare today, and even just seeing one is a true pleasure. Graded by NGC as AU53, it fell under the auctioneer's gavel for $144,000. And then we have another perennial favorite, and engraver William Wyand's masterpiece, which is really saying something if you're familiar with his work. The Una and the Lion Quintuple Sovereign. Wyand created this masterpiece of a coin to be included with the 1839 proof set from the Royal Mint. As a celebration of the inception of Queen Victoria's reign, it breaks with several established conventions of the time and has been widely lauded as the world's most beautiful coin. The current example was unfortunately tampered with. It seems that a previous owner attempted to restore some of the shine to the fields by smoothing or polishing them slightly, leaving the telltale scratches of such a process in its wake. The devices, however, were fortunately untouched. Due to this, PCGS awarded a details grade of uncirculated to the coin, which nonetheless attained the price of $132,000 at auction. The reign of King George III, or the Mad King as he would later come to be known, was if nothing else, rather eventful. Merely a few highlights included the American Revolutionary War, which saw Great Britain lose the American colonies. Then later the French Revolution and subsequent Napoleonic Wars compounded the effects of an already ill-advised monetary system, which led to the Great Recoinage of 1816, at which time the guinea denomination would officially be replaced with the sovereign. This 2-guinea pattern coin was struck in 1768, 8 years after George III took the throne. The large denomination is a curiosity at best, but this pattern coin stands as an ambitious possibility of what might have been. A tremendous offering of a very rare type that NGC graded as proof 64 and which sold at auction for $132,000. The silver Jubilee crown of George V is a splendid Art Deco interpretation of the classical St. George defeating the dragon portrait, lovingly referred to as the rocking horse design amongst certain coin collectors, intended to celebrate 25 years since the king's accession in 1910, a fairly well-known coin design within its own right, which is quite easy to come by. But what we have here is a very rare variety coin struck in gold, with a reported mintage of around 30 coins, although to my mind 25 might have been a more fitting number, with 5 of those having been gifted to museums. Today, 7 of these coins are reflected in the population reports, with this being the finest at a grade of proof 65 deep cameo from PCGS. This rare coin sold at auction for $126,000. One of the most important coins in the Brazilian catalogue is the 1822 6,400 Reis coin that celebrates the newly independent nation and the new emperor Pedro I. Pedro himself was born into royalty. His father was the King of Portugal, who had to flee the country of his birth in 1807 to escape what was the seemingly unstoppable march of Napoleon's army. They settled for a while in Brazil. When his father returned to Portugal to reclaim his throne, Pedro remained in Brazil and then later fought for the nation's independence. In 1822, proclaiming on the banks of the river Iparinga that he would seek either independence or death, a rallying cry which would see him crowned as emperor a scant 3 months later. These coins were minted to be handed out as gifts to dignitaries attending that ceremony. Only 64 coins were minted, of which a total of 16 are known today, 7 of which are in permanent museum collections. Graded by NGC as AU details, this coin was sold for the price of $108,000. Then, heading back to Australia from there, we can see that the intervening 50 years since the Holey dollars were created, coining technology had come a long way in the country, but the shortage of circulating coins had apparently not yet been fully resolved, hence the creation of these Adelaide dollars, thanks to the discovery of gold in the Adelaide Hills. The precious metal was in ready supply to strike coins. This example is one of the earliest coins struck, as evidenced by the Type 1 reverse die. The double circle surrounding the beads and the prominent die crack are key identifiers for this particular die marriage. The reverse failed after only supposedly striking somewhere between 20 to 50 coins. NGC graded this coin as AU58, which saw it sell at auction for $66,000. Remaining in the southern hemisphere for now, we head over to South Africa, with the very rare test pattern struck for the proposed new coinage of the then independent Boer Republic of the Orange Free State. The mintage of this Kroon piece, being essentially the colloquial term for a 5-shilling coin, is listed at only 3 coins in silver. Now, the more eagle-eyed amongst you may have spotted that this is in fact an SA pattern. That is to say that it was not struck by the government itself, but rather by a private mint, intended to serve as a sort of salesman sample of sorts, in the hopes of attaining a governmental minting contract. Dated 1887, this coin was authenticated by NGC with a grade of proof 64 and attained a closing price of $60,000. And I can hardly close out this presentation without even mentioning one of the most stunningly beautiful Victorian Gothic crowns that you are likely to come across. A plain edge example struck in pure silver with an N over inverted N in the word UNITA. A little known variety that isn't even properly listed in most references, save of course for the venerable English silver coins, attaining a much deserved cameo designation from NGC with a grade of proof 63+. One can almost imagine that this isn't too far off from how the coin must have looked when it was originally minted in 1847. $21,600 secured a new home for this iconic type. Let me know which of these coins might have been new to your eyes and what did you think of them in the comment section below. Subscribe to WNN and activate notifications with the bell icon to be notified when new videos are released. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you ever so much for watching, keep collecting and have a great day.